Okay, so you know what? I'm going to start. It is exactly 9 o'clock now. I'm going to share my screen with you. We're a nice small little group today, so feel free to participate. Feel free to ask questions. This time is for you. The next hour is for you to find out if there's anything that I can help you with, anything that's unclear. So I just want to say a big welcome to everyone, all the regulars, any new people. It's really nice to see you. My name is Cecilia Denton. I am from a company called PTES Consulting. So we mostly do psychometric assessments with people for recruitment purposes, for personal development purposes, also sometimes career guidance. You will see that this is presented by the Study Methods Academy. That is the sister company, which focuses solely on study methods for children. We have an online, like a bookstore and a booking facility store, which means that you can go onto the website, you can make a booking with us, you can buy the guide from us, or you can buy one of the tests that will show you how you want to study. There's also a career test on there. There's a stress guide on there. So the website's name is the studymethodsacademy.com. So it's just studymethodsacademy.com. Okay, so you guys are all lucky. For the people who have not yet gotten this e-guide, you will receive it today. So you can speak to the HR Talk or to myself, and we will arrange that you get this e-guide. And then I just want to say thank you to the HR Talk, who always arranges these webinars for us, that does it so effectively and always sends out the invites on time. Okay, so if there's any one of you who participated in last week's session, let me know, because this will be part 2. This is the follow-up on what we did the last time. I just want to make a note. You can see that on my guide, the email address and the website have changed. It is now studymethodsacademy.com. So it's info@studymethodsacademy.com, and it's www.studymethodsacademy.com. So we must still change it on this manual, but the numbers are, of course, correct. Okay, so let's quickly do a recap from last week. So last week, I showed you how to do a structured summary and an unstructured summary. So I hope I can see when you make, when you put comments in the comment block. I can't really see. I hope that I'm not going to miss it if someone makes a put something in the chat box. My page looks different today in front of me, so I'm sure I'll get a notification. So okay, so who of you can remember the chapter that we summarized and visualized and was able to recall it? So who of you can remember the summary that we made? So if there's anyone who did last week's session, can you let me know whether you can remember? Let me just see if this will help. I'm worried that I can't see your comments if you put it on. Okay. Anyway, I'm sure I will see it if someone makes a note. Okay, but I want to recap this quickly so you know. We were talking about why can you remember the movie Titanic that you watched 20 years ago, or a very good movie 10 years ago or 5 years ago or even 6 months ago? Why can you remember a movie, the storyline, maybe not all the details because it will be a little bit fuzzy? Why can you remember that, but you cannot remember what you studied? You put in effort to remember and you can't recall it. So that is why I showed you the summary, these summary techniques and the method of visualization to get it into your head. So I would like to know from you who is there that can remember the chapter that we summarized. So I pressed that too quickly. Okay, so who of you can remember where is the first summary? Who of you can remember this? The chapter that was about fruit, it was about apples, pears, bananas in the content. Who of you can still remember that? I wonder why my thing is looking very strange today. Let me just do that. I'm worried I can't see your comments if you make comments. Will someone put just a note in the chat box? I just want to see if I share my screen, if I can still see your comments. Okay, there's a bar now in front of me. Now I should be able to see it. Okay, so is there any one of you who can remember the summary that we made? The fruit, the apples, pears, and bananas. Is there anyone who can remember this? If you participated in this, and the reason why I'm asking you, I want you to close your eyes and just visualize again without looking. Can you still remember what we did last week? It's already a week ago. And if I close my eyes, I know I do this regularly, but usually when I ask my students the next day or a week later, can they remember the chapter about fruit? Then they say, yes, there's maybe a little bit of vague details that I can't remember as clearly, but I can still remember the chapter was about fruit. I had my page number in the right-hand top corner. It was page 1. The chapter was about fruit. It was about apples, pears, and bananas, and I had my content amongst, below every subheading. So if there's any one of you can recall it, you will see now that the visualization technique is a very effective one. If there's anyone who missed that part, you must let me know, because we could set up a session to just show you guys how that works. Right. So this is our structured summary technique. You will then remember there was the mind map, which is a little bit, see, these are all examples of structured techniques. You can summarize anything in any way on a page. If you visualize it, you will remember it. Keep out clutter, keep out lines, get a clean page, make it clean and neat and visualize it. You will remember it. Okay, you remember the mind map? So this is what the mind map looks like. A lot of people said that they don't like a mind map. It's a little bit too chaotic. Some people who are more creative, whose personality is just different, they may prefer this one. So remember also, you can also have a combination of a structured and an unstructured one. I've made summaries on pages where I was so desperate to remember it. I made it, I visualized it, and I remember it. If you draw a big, ugly, hairy spider on a piece of paper and you visualize it and you repeatedly visualize it, you're going to remember it. So give your brain that practice and that exercise and see if you can do it. There's some more examples of the mind map. There's some more tips. The storytelling technique, that is just telling a story to yourself on a piece of paper where the one point is associated and linked to the next point. So that is what that would be about. Okay, so general tips on answering an exam paper or questionnaire. So if you do multi-choice type of questions, try to choose the one that is most correct. Another thing that a doctor once told me, if you cannot remember a question in an exam, it's not that you cannot remember it or that it's not in your head. So this is usually where the stress comes in and people get a panic. They go even more blank. You can actually remember it because the brain saves information in 7 layers. You know, those ones that you know very well, that's on the top layers. So what you want to do if you can't remember something, write down the main topic on a piece of paper and then do some brainstorming. Try to pull out information about that topic. So for example, if you want to remember something about George Bush, write down the name George Bush and extract key words from it. For example, maybe the year that he was the president, in which country was he a president, what was he known for? So brainstorm a little bit. You have the knowledge in your head. It's just buried a little bit deeper. But this is the thing with us all. When we can't recall it immediately, like quickly, like this, we immediately go into a panic. You have to learn to be more patient with yourself and give yourself a chance. You know, when, especially those of you that's now like me getting a little bit older, when you can't remember someone's name. So just give yourself a chance. Sometimes I sit and I think, it doesn't matter what I do. I can't recall the name. I can see the face. I cannot recall the name. Also, don't confuse forgetting something with also being mentally maybe tired. You could be mentally just exhausted this time of the year. Also, given the background that we had since COVID, I find that more people now are mentally exhausted more than usual. The cognitive fatigue is a real thing. If you can't remember, recall simple things, just don't stress about it or worry about it. That tells you need more rest. Do a little bit more exercise. Exhaust your body through exercise. Try and sleep more. Take more breaks. So try and differentiate from when are you stressed because you're trying to remember something in a test, an exam type of setting, versus casually being somewhere and you can't remember someone's name, or going just going blank because you can't recall stuff. You can't remember, like you're in the grocery store and you can't recall something that you wanted. Just give yourself a few minutes. Literally calm down and give yourself a few minutes. The brain is exhausted. And the worst is if the brain gets stressed. I'm going to explain to you today what happens to the brain when it goes blank. It's very interesting. I think if we all knew this when we were in school, we would have done better, but they don't really focus on this. Okay, so we covered the planning last week. So I hope that you all, I'm sure you didn't really have to draw planners for yourself. I don't know how many of you are in an exam period at the moment, but these are the planners. And I also explained to you how to do the structured and the unstructured summary techniques using this with a visualization, how to repeat it and refresh it. If you missed all of this, we will schedule some more of this early next year. I want to recap all of this early next year. So please let me know when you would like to see this again, and keep in touch with us because we will be redoing this for the next year. Okay, let's jump to bad habits and motivation. So this is what we're going to do today. So the motivation, you will see that in the front part of every chapter in this e-guide, there's a part that just asks you questions about it. For example, do you often run out of time due to an inability to say no to other people? Do you struggle to prioritize your work? Is your study or even your working process, is it interesting? Would you describe yourself as a perfectionist by nature? And then lastly, identify your own bad habits when you study. So this will get you thinking already about how well are you doing on the motivation part. So you may think motivation is just about telling yourself it's going to be okay, and let's just get going. Motivation is made up of a lot of psychological things that plays a trick on the mind. So let's cover them today. So firstly, let's start with learn to prioritize. So start with your most important subjects or topics first. Remember, someone that's in school or university, they may have homework that's separate from trying to prepare for an exam. So you may have different topics or things that you're covering. So define first what is a priority and what can be done secondly. So obviously homework will take priority over your extra work that you're trying to get in for the exam. So what needs to be done immediately and what cannot wait? So for example, for maths, if you've scheduled something to do, scheduled to do some extra biology studying on day 1, but you have maths homework, your maths homework will get priority. You can do some extra studying on your biology later in the evening. So children, students also need to learn to prioritize. Sometimes what we do when we get flustered, we just do everything. You actually have to constantly prioritize, even in the workplace. Have you found that if you have an incredibly busy day, you can't just go through everything during the day? If it's a hectically pressure day, you have to change things constantly. You have to postpone or just put later the stuff that's not as important, but the critical stuff immediately. Maybe there is still enough time during the day to do the rest that was not so critical, but communicate as well to people what you will do when. So secondly, learn to say no. Remember that you can schedule dates with friends on your rest days, because remember now in our planned schedules for exams and that we have planned rest days. Never neglect your rest days and your break times. Remember also last time I told you never ever surpass 45 minutes or 50 minutes. And then take a 15 or 10 minutes break. 45 minutes or a 50 minutes period of work, 10 to 15 minutes break. So you can decide your own schedule. I like personally 45 minutes with a 15 minutes break, 45 minutes with a 15 minutes break. For young children, younger students in primary school, 30 minutes, 5 minutes break, 30 minutes, 5 minutes break. In the workplace now, if you feel tired and exhausted, Also take breaks every, say, hour, even if it's a 5-minute break or whatever. Take more breaks than usual. You have to remind yourself of this as well, because, you know, when you first get going, well, I'm a fine one to talk. I can't believe that I'm saying this and I don't even do it. I push myself, but then I do know I have a set time at the end of the day where I go for Pilates or yoga or running, and I stick to it. I give that back to my body for being so tense during the day. So work in things where you know you rest in between. I do a lot of meditation in between. There I can actually score some points. I do it in the morning, a quick 15 minutes, lunchtime, and in the evenings. So have some things that you do to help you relax, but the break times, very, very important. Teach your children now already to take the break times. It doesn't mean you're lazy. And everyone will tell you, yeah, but once I take a break, I can't go back to work. You have to decide if you want to be successful or not. You want to decide, do I want to do this and do I want to achieve? That whole thing of, yeah, but then I can't get back to it. Nonsense. You need to decide, do you want to be effective or not? Do you want to achieve or not? That'll get you going very quickly. All right, so combine subjects. In order to keep it interesting, some students may like it to combine things during the day. Say combine maths or art or Afrikaans and English or whatever. They may want to combine it where I used to like to just finish one thing and get it over with, but keep it interesting for yourself. Find out who you are and what it is that you want to do. The step 4, don't wait for perfection. So a lot of students can't get through the summaries the way that I told you that we make the summaries, because I want the picture to look perfect. What I used to do when I remember the blank pages I told you about, so all your summaries go on a blank page like that. I used to fill it in with pencil until I got the spacing nice and right, but I never used to redo because it doesn't look pretty. I would learn how to make sure that I've got enough space on the page for my one chapter. Don't redo. No one cares what it looks like. You want to make your summary, visualize it. It doesn't matter how ugly you wrote it. It doesn't matter what's where in which corner. Whatever you put on that page, if you visualize it, you'll remember it. Don't try to be perfect. If you wait for that, we're going to wait until forever. Quality or work you will find in life is always a combination of time and quality. Your quality can be super, super fantastic, but it doesn't help you. It took you a year to do it if you only had a week. So there's never a place in life where you're going to have that much time. It will always be a combination of time and quality. The time, unfortunately, is always the thing there that stops you, that where you have to make the decision to submit or leave it. Okay, so break it down into smaller bits. Now, this would be the psychological thing that I'm talking about. So we often underestimate the effects of that psychological thing on our minds, where you remember when you were in school and you had to write exams about all the books, your books, that your whole desk is full of books, and you're thinking, I have to get through all of this, say, in 3 weeks' time or whatever the time it is that you gave yourself. Pack away all of those books. You are going to break it down into smaller chunks. And you will remember last week's session, I told you, take a whole day to do your planning. So this is the preparation time before the actual exam starts. So in that preparation phase, you want to take your handbook. This is your handbook about biology. Put Post-it notes in. For page 1 to page 19 will be conducted on day 1. I'm going to summarize, visualize, on day 1, page 1 to 19. On day 2, I'm going to continue with page 20 to, say, page 31. But use your Post-it notes to indicate. Then you don't have to look at all these books and all the work that you have to do. But for day 1, if you look at the Post-it notes, say, I only have to do this part on day 1. Imagine you thinking, I don't even have more books here that I can show you. But if I have a whole bunch of books like this and my eyes see it and it goes into my brain, I have to go through all of these books versus I only have to do this today. Don't underestimate. You can't really feel it immediately. Sometimes these messages are very subtle. But take away all your books off your desk, remove everything. You only focus on this that you're going to do today. So this is a very, very big thing. This is why your study space must be neat. It must be clean. Your calendar is pasted up against the wall so that you can see day 1. It entails biology, page 1 to 19. That's all I do today. Otherwise, my mind is clear. It is clean. I don't look at anything else. I don't focus on it. I don't think about, but what about maths and what about history and what about... This is very, very important that you psychologically get your mind right with this. And then remember I told you you're going to put your calendar that you drafted for your preparation phase before the exam. You put that up against your wall. And every day as you complete the day successfully, you want to cross the day out. You will also not believe the psychological effect it has on your mind when you can visually see your progress. Because remember, you're going to start getting mentally fatigued and tired, maybe demotivated. It's normal. That is just how it is. So you need to manage your head as optimally as you can. So if you've got a calendar up against your wall and you cross out every day as you go along, you will not believe the positive effect that will have on you because you can see your progress. And think about it. If someone that's very obese, I don't think I can say very obese, I can say obese, has to lose a lot of weight. It is hectic to think that I have to lose 100 kilograms. But if I tell myself, for now, I'm only focusing on 1 kilogram, isn't that more attainable? So don't overwhelm yourself with information. And because when you feel overwhelmed, that is when the behavioral stress that kicks in is procrastination. You know, when you just can't get started, that is a behavioral stress where you feel like you postpone, but it's very subtle. And when you see again, the whole day is gone or the whole week is gone, you just didn't start because it felt so overwhelming. Then have self-discipline and keep up with your roster. So a lot of students tell me, I don't like a roster, I don't keep to it, it's not going to work for me. So there could be 2 things. The first thing is you may be using it wrong. Your roster, you need to work out a roster that's very realistic, very practical. It's not overloaded. There's a lot of rest times in between. Combine things, make it interesting. Have a little reward system where if I can stick to my roster until, say, on Monday, if I can stick to it very good until Friday, I can have the Friday evening off, or I can have Saturday off, or I can watch my favorite movie. Have a little reward system because it's quite interesting when you have to study like this. Have any of you felt where the smallest thing feels like a reward? The smallest thing, even if you think, I want to go repack my cupboards, even that feels like a reward. Or just a chocolate at the end of the day is like a massive reward. It's interesting how the brain works. So work the brain in your advantage. There's a lot of things you can do with your brain. You can control it. It doesn't control you. You can control it. We just think that we can't. So I'm going to get into the details of that just now. That's the interesting part for today. But keep to your roster. And then the second thing I tell people, this is where you have to decide whether you want to be successful or not. So a little self-discipline and a little bit of resilience and a little bit of toughness on yourself has never killed anyone. It can only make you stronger. It's like, I think I told you guys last week, my Pilates teacher says to me, as soon as people, when he instructs them and they do Pilates, as soon as they start feeling hot or warm in their clothes, because now they're sweating a little bit, as soon as they feel hot, they want to stop. As soon as they feel the muscle burning, they want to stop. That's where your resilience comes from. Push through the heat, push through the burning muscle. That's how you stretch the muscle, actually build it. So you can do much more than you think you can do. You just think you can't. Yeah, you can. You can actually do a hell of a lot. We all survived COVID. Goodness, there was nothing worse than that. The economic pressure, the scared of the illness. We had loss in between. It was a hectic time. You made that. So these things are really, to study is really not that difficult. It's way less intense than going through 3 years of COVID and the aftermath of it. So, and then also don't procrastinate. So procrastination comes when you don't break up your work into smaller chunks. Okay, so just keep that in mind. When you procrastinate, that's when it's a behavioral stress because you don't know where to start. You feel overwhelmed. And then last note, the bad habits. Identify your own habits, bad habits when you study. What is it that you do? So I remember when I was in school, we used to say to remember what I used to do. I took a page like this and I used to write out, say the word, say George Bush. I would write, and I want to remember George Bush was the American president then, and he did this and that. So what I would do to try and remember, I would write out his name like 50 times on a piece of paper. If any one of you do that, please stop with that immediately because it's absolutely useless. Hopefully not a lot of you do that. Rewriting even your handbook to make your own summaries is also useless. You want to transform it into the structured summary or the mind map, because rewriting it, you could actually then just stick to the handbook because there's really no point in it. But also to try and remember by writing down the same word over and over is useless, because have you found that you can write down something and you can even talk to someone else while you're writing it? It doesn't register. When you visualize and see it on your page, that's when it registers. Right, so let's jump to, I think the next one is concentration. Okay, so I just want to read this powerful clip that I saw long ago. So this is the power of positive thinking. So in 1876, the Western Union International put on a memo. They said that this telephone concept has too many shortcomings to be seriously considered as a means of communication. So how wrong was that? So don't always believe what it is that you think. You could be wrong with what you think. If you think you can't do it or you don't have the discipline, you could be wrong. So let's look at concentration. So Tony Buzan said he's also a very well-known person when it comes to study methods. The problem is not the power of concentration, it's the direction and the focus of it. So don't think that because your concentration is not great. Often people confuse that with not being clever enough. My concentration is not great at all. I have ADD and I learned how to manage it optimally. I've only been on Concerta once in my life. The rest of the time, what I substitute studying for is substitute the medication for is when I do a structured summary technique like I do, visualize it, and then a hell of a lot of meditation on the other side with my Baroque music that optimizes the concentration and keeps you calm at the same time. I'm not saying replace your medication if you're on anything, but that just shows you can actually optimize your process to the fullest degree that you can. Okay, so someone said, it's Henry, our loyal participant. I'm happy I was born 102 years after that statement. I agree. Because how crazy is it today? Today we're trying to get away from the bloody thing. It's a terrible distraction. Keep your eye on your phone as well. That thing can make you lose concentration say you have a 45-minute cycle of studying. You will be surprised how long you are on that device where you could have put your time to good use. Rather check your phone maybe at specified times. I know, like, I've got my own business, so I am actually a lot on the phone, but I've realized how much it actually distracts me. And I think I can do way more during the day if the thing didn't beep all the time. So, okay, let's see. Do you currently have a routine that works for you? Have you identified your most optimal study time in the mornings, midday, or evenings? Do you have a quiet and well-lit study environment? Do you have a proper desk or a table to study at? Do you have a sign on your door that warn others that you are studying to keep out? Because, subconsciously we want people to bother us. We want the phone to beep. Do you listen to music while you are studying, and what type of music? Do you take enough break times while you're studying? And if not, why not? Do you daydream while you're studying? All right, so let's look at all of these things will add to your concentration. There's a few more questions here. Where do you sit in class or at school or at home when you are studying? Do you often sit on your bed when you study? Do you have a reward system to help you motivate you with your studies? Do you eat properly or healthy while studying? Do you drink sufficient water while you study? And then list your main shortcomings in this area. Okay, so let's start with the actual chapter. So those are just the questions to get you thinking. So stick to a routine. So how to optimize your concentration is stick to a routine. Even if you're not a routine and repetitive plan type of person, a routine will still help you. If you know that this is the time I get up, I go to school, I've got my allocated time that I'm going to do my homework, but then this time will be where I do extra, where I prepare for the exams. When it's in your head already, you sort of prepared for it. It's when someone suddenly tells you put in some extra time today, and your mind is sort of not prepared for it. So know that for the next month, I'm going to put in extra time. I'm going to get up a little bit earlier, or I'm going to do these sacrifices or whatever. You just want to give it your 100 for this allocated time period. Okay, so then secondly, identify what time you study best. Now, this is a real thing. You get late night people or early morning people. It is actually a real thing. It's not nonsense. I am someone who late at night, I get energy. I hated to go to sleep early, but then I have to. I sleep better early mornings. So I would rather do more at night and sleep better and later. What I used to do when I used to study, I would sacrifice on both. I would study late at night, but I wouldn't mind getting up early to recap things, because it's only for 1 or 2 days. It's not all of the time, as long as you don't do it constantly, because you have to get proper sleep. Do not sacrifice good sleep. So identify when you study optimally and use that time. Don't fight against it. If you feel like I need to have a power nap, because I am absolutely exhausted, take a power nap, postpone the time that you wanted to study. So see how you are feeling and go for the times that you know you're optimal. Then ensure that you have a quiet environment. Ensure you limit all the noises as far as possible. So switch off phones, TVs and radios. We want, subtly, actually unconsciously, we want to be bothered, because then we don't have to focus here. So that's one of the psychological things I told you that is an issue. Put those things away. Subconsciously, we do want to be bothered. Put a sign on the door that says "Do not disturb." Listen to Baroque music softly in the background or on headphones. It increases the concentration, and it also calms you down at the same time. It's probably the only thing that does that, and it's Baroque music. Google it, YouTube it. It's everywhere, Baroque music. In the beginning, I sort of struggled to use it, but I thought because it's scientifically proven, I just pushed through it. Now I can do it. So in the beginning, it irritated me. Now I'm fine with it. So don't just give up once because it irritates you. Try different things, but give it time. Give it time. Be patient. Then break times. Remember that you can schedule dates with friends on your rest days. Plan your calendar and say no to those activities that can wait. You know that sometimes when I get extremely busy, I actually do not answer the phone. I know one wants to. You want to, but determine, am I under pressure right now? Can I phone back maybe in an hour's time? Do that. Don't just be like a slave to the clock and to the beeping. If the thing beeps, you like a monkey in a cage. We spoke about that the other day. Do what is good for you in this time. So avoid daydreaming. So ask yourself questions about the work that you're studying. You will have hectic daydreaming and thoughts drifting if you are very, very tired. So if you can feel, listen, I'm being honest with myself now. I don't even know what I'm doing. Then stop what you are doing and rather do it later. But be very honest with yourself. If you feel like, listen, I'm well rested, I must go, but my thoughts are wandering a little bit. This thing bothers me that someone said the other day. Just ask yourself questions about it, what it is that you're doing. That setting your timer for that 45 minutes will also limit your daydreaming, because you know that the timer, it's only 45 minutes and it's going to go off again. So when you find your thoughts wandering astray, bring yourself back into the room by saying, be here now, focus now, be here now. You will also see, I think it's a little bit further down, we have a thing that we call a worry time. So say something bothers you, like someone said something and now it's constantly in your head. Say to yourself, this afternoon at 3:00, from 3:00 until 3:30, I will worry about it. Write it down, make an appointment with yourself, stick to that date. Let the thought go, and at 3:00, you will think about it, worry about it, do something about it. Small things like this does play a trick on the brain, and you can actually minimize your thoughts going a little bit. Remember, you may not get it right 100%. You don't have to be perfect. You just want to minimize and optimize. So yeah, someone said, I am so with you regarding the Baroque music. I'm a pianist, but I can't stand Baroque music. So I definitely have empathy with your feelings. Yes. So yeah, maybe you must give it another few tries because Baroque music is beautiful. When I was younger, I didn't have a thing for it, but I did sort of practice it a little bit. So, but anyway, piano music should also be good. Okay, so then don't sit close to a window in home or in class. So, do you want to have ventilation? Do you want to have windows open? Yes, for fresh air, but don't sit where there's a distraction. Don't work when the TV is on in the background. You know what you're doing, so just don't go there. Then do not sit on your bed and study. You're not fooling anyone. The thing is also if you're too comfortable, you feel sleepy, you want optimal concentration. Remember, it's just for the 45 minutes and your 15 minutes break, just for that 45 minutes. Don't think of studying as I have to study today the whole day. You only think of your 15 minutes. When you think about it like that, it's way better than thinking I have to sit here the whole day. Then, very importantly, reward yourself. So when you have completed a week without falling behind on your roster, reward yourself by going out with friends, watching your favorite TV program or whatever you really want to do. So have little reward systems. It plays. You see, that's what happens when you drink too much coffee. You're actually not really that optimal. That's another tip I can give you. Have 1 or 2 coffees. Don't have too much because it actually literally scrambles the brain. It can actually make you fatigued. So, yes, then very importantly, okay, we did the reward yourself. Then what should I eat? So protein has been scientifically proven to optimize the energy. So that would be things like meat, eggs, oats, cheese, anything that optimizes the concentration. And read up on it. There's a lot of plant-based things that has protein in it if you want to avoid meat. Something that works very well would be druivenbosch with a fat in it. That is very good for you. The typical bacon and eggs, wimpy type of breakfast, very good for you. If you want to avoid meat, look at things like beans. What is that thing that they make hummus from? What is that bean? You know which one I'm talking about. So hummus, those type of things, full of protein. The protein will definitely increase your energy and optimize your concentration. Google a little bit, get interesting things, get some nuts there where you're sitting. You know, when you study, you just want to go like this. Don't let it be sweets. Let it rather be a nut. Anything else, or your druivenbosch or something like that. So for those who have no problems with the intake of caffeine, start your study day with a cup of coffee. So just limit your coffee. If you take too much, it can literally scramble your brain a little bit. It can also make you tired. It's also a stimulant of the central nervous system where you don't want to be too pumped up. I don't know if some of you study with, I used to study with Red Bull. It did help my concentration, but goodness, I could paint the house it was too much. Also be very careful that you don't take a Red Bull when you are not used to it. There was a time when I wrote an exam, I took a Red Bull, which I haven't done in a very long time. And in that study exam room, I felt very, very sleepy. So don't do funny, strange things that you're not used to. Be mindful of what you're taking. Then drink a lot of water during the day. Now, there is a reason why, because the water ensures oxygen flow to the brain. So sip the water slowly and continuously while studying or doing the actual test. I also tell students, don't drink too much water, because I know in some exam rooms, once you leave, you're not allowed to get back again. So don't manage this very well, plan carefully. Okay, feed your brain. So cut out unhealthy, greasy food. Start off with a healthy, protein-rich breakfast. Continue with a snack at mid-morning or a healthy lunch. Also remember things like sugar. It puts strain on the brain. Fast food types of things. Greasy food, it's what it is. It's greasy. It actually makes you slower. It's not good for your concentration. And then, at your home, make your place where you're going to sit and study optimal. Have a decent desk and a table. Get an allocated place. Don't sit where everyone is and where, like in the living room or whatever. Try and get yourself a nice desk with a table and a chair. Have a well-lit and ventilated room. Have a hard but a fairly comfortable chair. Sit up straight. Avoid slouching forward. Have your blank papers, your colored pens and pencils handy. Have your bubble gum handy. I remember that I told you there was scientific studies saying that chewing gum does optimize the concentration. So there's a few things that optimizes the concentration. It's the lemon verbena essential oil that you burn, or if you can't burn it, put it on a piece of cotton wool and you can smell it when you're in the classroom where you can't have a candle burner. Baroque music is proven to optimize concentration. Protein optimizes concentration. Water takes oxygen to the brain. So there's a few things already that really work. So remember, one of the things may not make a significant difference, but put it all together. Sit up straight, open up your lungs. Did you know that having a smile on your face automatically releases endorphins in the brain? So even if you don't feel like it, put a fake smile on your face. It will work. Have positive thoughts in your mind. It will work. Everything together is going to work. So get yourself ready, get excited for this period to start. Get excited. Do all of these things and you'll feel better than going to a desk where there's 10 books on it. You don't know where to start. You have to do everything at once. Break it up, planning, clean it out, get going, get your little things, go do shopping, go buy your little things. And you will see that you're going to get excited about this process. So there, I just say, can I use my nose? Yes, the lemon verbena. Can I use my ears? Yes, the Baroque music. Now I want to get to the physiological makeup of the brain. I want to use the next 20 minutes to explain this to you. So do you understand what an internal dialogue is? This is the communication to yourself. So do you understand what that is? Think of a time when you had to write a test or an exam. Write down your internal dialogue. While you were busy with a test, do you have a quiet and well-lit study environment? Even if you struggle to think of your own internal dialogue, give yourself some time to recall this. Was your own personal conversation more positive or negative? Okay, so let's jump to the actual work. So this is a dendrite. So I'm going to tell you now what happens in the brain when I try to remember and when I can't. So the whole brain is made up of millions of dendrites. So can you see it? This is what it looks like. So there's millions of it. There's hair-like follicles on the end there. So the brain is made up of millions of dendrites. These dendrites are a means of communication in the brain and ensure that messages are passed forwards and backwards. There are hair-like follicles on the dendrite, which carries the neurotransmitter. So the more you tell yourself, I cannot do it, I can't remember it, I'm not smart enough, I'm too stressed and worried, the fewer of the hair-like follicles there will be. That inhibits the message to go through. So that, the neurotransmitter, it's the chemical that goes from the one dendrite to the next. Without the hair-like follicles, it's struggling to get through. So changing your internal dialogue can prevent this. Now, firstly, we need to know what is an internal dialogue. So this is the communication you have with yourself, positive, negative, neutral. This is just the conversation we have on ourselves on a daily basis. Think about when you say to yourself every single day, whether you talk to yourself out loud or silently, like introverted or extroverted, doesn't matter. What you say to yourself is incredibly important. So now think about this. What do you say to yourself every day? Are you your own friend or foe? Do you give yourself compliments or do you put yourself down regularly? If your internal dialogue is negative and you put yourself down, you will have fewer hair follicles on the dendrites and less neurotransmitter will be carried over. So the result will be unable to remember clearly, stressing even more, breaking out in a sweat, heart palpitations, shaking, going blank. But you could have many other types of symptoms. In the stress management, we actually covered a hell of a lot of symptoms, which is emotional, psychological, physical, cognitively, all of that. But your worst is going blank, isn't it? Because now I have to remember and I can't. So perhaps you do not experience all of these symptoms above, but I'm sure you've experienced some of them. So now I'm going to show you positive brain programming and how we can address this, because what can we do about this? Then there's another saying. Right. So someone also had a thing to say about the TV. So in 1946, Daryl Zanuck, he was the head of the 20th Century Fox. So that's actually the movies that was going on that time already. So this was 50, 60, 70, more than 70 years ago. TV won't be able to hold on to any market it captures after the first 6 months because people will get tired of staring at a plywood box every night. And now every one of us have got like more than one TV in the house. We've got fancy fat screens, massive fat screens. So just imagine they didn't pursue, maybe it would have been better if they didn't pursue it, because that's maybe we do maybe too much of it, but still, we are intrigued by this plywood box. It's not even a plywood box anymore. All right, the positive brain programming. So, is it difficult for you to write down positive things about yourself? If the answer is no, that's great. If the answer is yes, why do you think that is? So often when I tell students to write down a few positive things about themselves, they take a while to write some down. So some students are quick, some takes a while because they're so out of practice of thinking about their strengths. So do you want to change your own thinking about yourself? And then it will give you an opportunity to write down a few sentences that you can repeat to yourself every day. Okay, so let's get to changing your thinking. So to do well in exams, you need to understand that one of the greatest barriers to success is your attitude and to the whole exam process. As with many things in life, the way that you choose to view this can change your feelings and performance dramatically. So a big part is your brain, your cognitive intelligence. A massive part is the way that you think about things and yourself. That affects us dramatically. So now that you know what your internal dialogue is, you need to know what to do with it. So your brain does not know when you are talking the truth. Remember, the brain is just an organ. You know what the truth is by experience. So whatever you tell your brain, it will believe you. So if you tell your brain that you are stressed, it will believe you. If you tell your brain that you are not capable, it will believe you. If you tell your brain that you're not good enough, it will believe you. If you tell your brain that you are prepared and relaxed, it will believe you. So it doesn't matter what you tell your brain, it's going to believe you. If you tell yourself, I'm not going to make it, I'm going to try and have my own business, I'm not going to make it, you won't make it. If you tell yourself, I will make it, I am good enough, things will fall in place for you. Of course, also with hard work together with it. But don't underestimate the effect that the negative things that you say to yourself have on you. So we often program ourselves from a young age that we are ugly, fat, slow, not good enough, not clever enough, not strong enough. So how are we supposed to be all of these things when you've trained yourself that you're not good enough? So perhaps you are one of those people who are good to yourself and compliment yourself on a daily basis. So if you are, that's great. You can continue to do so. But remember, there's a big difference between being full of yourself and someone who's got positive thoughts. A lot of people confuse the two. So you need to know another secret. There's really never any good reason to put yourself down. So think about it. There's no reason to ever put yourself down. So what should I do? So you can reprogram yourself by repeating a few positive statements to yourself every day. Now, there's another secret. The good news is that you do not have to believe yourself. The biochemical reaction takes place in the brain automatically. That's why when you have a slight smile on your face, it's not like you're instructing your brain to release endorphins. It happens automatically. So if you are feeling very, very anxious and nervous, and you sit up straight and you say to yourself, I'm calm, I'm well prepared, you're not going to dramatically feel the change. But in the brain, it will subtly start adjusting to what it is that you're saying. So you don't have to believe yourself. Just continue with your positive statement. You'll see that the positive affirmation thing is everywhere. Everyone talks about it. They're not lying. There's really a truth behind it, because the biochemical process takes place automatically. So there could be a subtle change in your brain on the day that you are feeling nervous. On the long term, you will actually really start believing that you are good enough. So don't treat this like a crash diet where I'm going to diet for 3 days and I hope to lose 5 kilograms. Make it a way of life. Have a healthy way of living. Don't do a crash diet. Say this to yourself every day, and your brain will start accepting it as a truth. So repeat to yourself every day. I can, I have, I am. I am great. I am smart. I am clever. There's no need to be worried or stressed. I am prepared. I am ready. I'm happy. So create your own positive statements and make it a habit to repeat them every single day. Remember, we want to reprogram ourselves, and it's not going to happen within a day. This is a lifelong commitment. Your old habits need to disappear and new habits need to take place. I've tried it. It's worked for me. I thought I've got nothing to lose. Why must I say to myself, I can't do it or whatever? I mean, what would be the point of that? So then you will also notice that I'm saying I am and not that I will be, because you want to state it as a truth right now. Also, avoid saying I am not stressed. I don't know the exact thing behind all of this, but I know that the negative in the sentence cancels out the what you're actually trying to do. So whatever the case may be, keep your sentences, your positive affirmation, short and sweet. Just say I can, or I am great, I am intelligent, I sleep well, I eat well, I am calm. Don't make it complicated. Don't go into the science of the sentence and wata. Say I am, I can, I have. Keep it short and sweet like that. I would suggest to you, if you're not studying at the moment and there's not something that you need to address at the moment, I would say just have 3 basic statements that you say to yourself in any way every day. So I am intelligent. I am good enough. I am calm. Just that. Someone at random. You don't have to have a reason for it. And you will see that over a period of time, you will start believing it. Okay, there's a saying here that I want to read to you. So two men traveled to Africa to find out what the market for selling shoes would be like over there. So their boss contacted them to ask them what they suggested. The first salesman replied, he said, no one is wearing shoes over there, so there's no market for shoes here. The second man replied, no one is wearing shoes over here. There's a great market for selling shoes over here. So it's all about the way that you think about things. You may attract bad things if you think in a negative or disastrous way. And remember also now, currently, we're in a very difficult time. People are more pessimistic now than ever before. I know because I test people psychometrically every single day. I can see the patterns. I can see the stress and the pessimism. So it is worse now than ever before. Keep a mind on what you keep your mind busy with every day. Keep a mind on your social media and your news interaction every day. Select a filter. You'll remember in the stress courses I said, limit and remove, limit and remove. You've got the right to do that. You don't have to listen to the news every day. They're saying the same thing they said yesterday. You know that, the shit is hit the fan already. You don't have to hear it again today. You know it. So do what it is that you can for you today. Take your time, be in your mind, meditate, relax, learn meditation techniques, do a little bit more exercise, eat better, healthy. You know all of those things. I don't have to repeat it. So I'm going to quickly go through the stress and effects of stress. We did cover this in the stress management thing that we did previously. but I just want to recap it quickly. So the physical effects, wait, did I miss something now? Yes, there's a cognitive effect. All right. So there's a few effects of stress that it could have. And one of the most important things could be the cognitive effect. And that could be the inability to concentrate, forgetting, going blank, inability to remember or think clearly, and many more. So think of your own cognitive symptoms. Let me see, there's another note here. Okay, perspective is everything. It is like the way different children are brought up, like a dad is abusive to his wife or children. Child 1 does exactly the same. Child 2 does not do that. So it is actually true. It's also what you've been exposed to. If you've been exposed to people that will delve into the negative easily, or worry is a learned habit, you may have a tendency to do that. So research and look around you, see what other people do, and go where it is peaceful for you. So think of your own cognitive symptoms that you have. Mine would definitely be sometimes to go blank. I'm not so bad anymore. Probably more because I'm planned and because I do a lot of relaxation techniques. The physical effects of stress on the body is feelings of nervousness, sweaty palms, heart palpitations, shaking, trembling. That's a physical. All of us have got that physical thing in our bodies. You know what that physical symptom is like. So when you see one of those symptoms, know, okay, it's a sign for me. I need to step back. I need to just take a break. I need to do some things more than I used to do. Also remember the emotional and psychological symptoms of stress, where procrastination is a big one, and where you feel overwhelmed, for example. Those are all psychological and emotional symptoms of stress. So let's look at a few habits and learned behavior that can help you cope with stress. Remember, in the stress management, I also differentiated between stress, worry, and anxiety. It's 3 different components. Stress, it's external happening and it's having an effect on you. Worry is about the stress, but it hasn't happened yet. Very important for you to know. Remember, worry hasn't happened yet. Take your thoughts back to neutral and say to yourself, you don't know what is going to happen. I can prepare practical, realistic things I can do maybe to prepare myself, but keep an eye on what you say to yourself, because this one hasn't happened yet. Anxiety can be because of excessive worrying about my stress factors. Anxiety can also be there without anything, because I work myself up into a frenzy about things that hasn't happened yet. So this is very important to note. We will do the stress again probably early next year. Please join us for those ones, so that you can learn how to differentiate. You don't have to suffer the way that you do. You don't have to suffer alone and in silence. Some of these things you can change. A lot of external things you can have, you can control it to an extent. Some things you have to accept, and some things you just observe as it goes by again. So that's how you deal with that. Then how you can cope with your stress. You know all of these things already, and I'm going to reiterate it. Eat healthy on a daily basis. Make sure you get a crucial amount of vegetables and fruits in. You know this since you were small. Your mother told you to eat your carrots. Don't tell me you don't know it. Then exercise regularly and between study periods. Try to exercise. The body likes it to be exhausted from exercise, and then because it's almost like it recuperate when it's exhausted, when it's sweated. I know, like as we get older, we're not really in the mood for the whatever anymore. But walk around the block, just breathe deeply, inhale oxygen. Take vitamin B supplements. That does support the central nervous system. Be careful of too much stimulants on the central nervous system, which is alcohol, caffeine, very spicy foods, all things that I enjoy. I just limit it. Get enough sleep, power naps. Don't sacrifice a good night's sleep for studying. Meditate. Learn methods that interest you and suit your personality. You can research the art of living. I love the art of living. It's the artofliving.gov.org, something like that. Just Google the art of living. You'll see all the meditation techniques, the breathing classes. It's very cost effective. They've got There's an app you can put on your phone that's for free. I think the registration for a year is something like 500 Rand. It's nothing. You have it on your phone. You can meditate any time that you wish. I'm sorry our time is up, but I just want to quickly say, yeah, burn aromatherapy, also play with it. You've got lavender and chamomile that will help you relax. You've got your lemon verbena that will optimize your concentration. Then don't use any new medication before an exam. Don't use funny stuff before an exam. And then just lastly, this is how you can prepare to lower your stress before an exam period specifically. So you can tell your children this, or if you're a student, prepare the day before with pens, pencils, erasers, sharpeners, ruler, calculator with new batteries. Children forget the batteries. Dress coolly, but take a sweater or a jacket with you. So you're not too hot or too cold. Sip water continuously, not too much. Get 8 hours of sleep. Remember your watch so that you can plan your exam paper, so that you don't run out of time because you're spending too much time on one question and neglect another. So this is just the worry time I told you about. Decide at 3 o'clock today, I will worry about this and that, and then you stick to your promise. All right, and here is some relaxation techniques. When you get this manual, you can look at this. This is just how to breathe and calm yourself down, get into the habit of doing this. And lastly, okay, then there was also someone who said something about the computer. So in 1977, Kenneth Olson, the president and founder of Digital Equipment Corporation, said there is no reason for any individual to have a computer in their own home. All of these things are very interesting. Let's put it that way. Okay, so let's see. Someone make some notes here. Where can I get a copy of the playbook? I will send it to you. I did send the link to the HR Talk as well. They can send it to you. All right, and Henry, there's nothing for next week, Wednesday. I may try and put maybe for November, maybe like something just before the year end. We've got a lot of topics. Maybe you can let me know if there's something specifically that you would like to recap again in November, just before December, before we all knock off for the year. So if there's anyone that anyone would like to see again before year end, please let me know. But we will take everything up again early next year. We're going to go through the whole emotional intelligence, stress management, how to do competency-based questions for interviews. We've got a non-verbal, not a non-verbal, what is the body behavior? What do you call that? We've got a thing on that as well. We can do a recap on that. So if there's any specific topics anyone wants to see before year end, please let us know. But we will be doing everything again early next year. Keep an eye on the newsletters. So it was great to see all of you. Come in contact with me if you want the playbook or ask the HR Talk. My details on this book has changed. It is celia@studymethodsacademy.com. So that is my new email. But please speak to the HR Talk or contact me directly if you want the playbook. And I hope to see you very soon. So keep an eye on your emails. Okay, thank you, everyone, and thanks for the great participation. We'll chat soon.